the heart of America's business life. It's here in New York, financial capital of the world, and home of the 2005 NFL Draft. There they are, the commodities.
If value's what you're after, you better pick me.
I put in the work already. You just gotta call my name.
You don't have to wait for me to mature. I already have.
The stats, the strong indicators, the special qualities.
Clayton.
Hands, strength.
Experts monitored them. Analysts broke them down. The prospects, soon to be pros. These are investors with options.
There's a high risk involved.
Phil, there are no risks in drafting me.
You have to do your homework.
I work 24 hours a day.
You put a few dollars down, and bang, you got something big in return.
I'm good for the long term, with guaranteed returns.
All that's left for them to do is decide and hope they make the right choice. The NFL Draft is all about business. And for the next 2 days, it's the only game in town.
Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the 2005 NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light.
In many ways, it's the first game to be played in the NFL since February. And boy, are people ready. All the stock market may be closed, but I think all the action's right here at the 2005 NFL Draft in a new stadium, if you will, the Jacob Javits Center on the west side of Manhattan. And some of the best players are here with us in New York. Alex Smith, will this be his moment? Quarterback Aaron Rodgers of Cal. Or will it be the wide receivers, Dave? Braylon Edwards. We got a half a dozen players here. We got tons of players on pins and needles all around America on this, the opening gavel of the 2005 and the 70th annual National Football League selection meeting, commonly known as the draft. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Glad you could be with us. Chris Mortensen is the H-back to my right.
Good to be here, Chris.
It's Christmas every day, but when Mel gets to the draft, Mel Kiper Jr. See it up, Boomer. A favorite here, see? They love him. And 6 years ago, he was in this. First time we've ever had a player in the National Football League with us. 6 years ago, in 1999, the sixth pick overall, the St. Louis Rams, Torrey Holt. Well, Torrey.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have anything else to do?
I have nothing else to do. I'm reliving my time in New York. I would have loved to have been here when I got drafted in 98, sixth pick to the Rams, but unfortunately I wasn't here, so now I'm back doing a little work, so having fun, man.
You're going to live it like they're going to live it, though, today.
Right. I'm a little nervous, man. These guys, man, their lives are about to change dramatically right here today.
Well, we're anxious to hear your commentary and your thoughts, and just take us through the process, which wasn't so very long, although you were last century. You're old news.
Right.
Well, certainly old news is not what the 49ers are doing. Their news usually is picking very late. For the last 2 decades, they have been the model franchise of the National Football League. However, this past year, not so well. 2-14, they've been on the clock since the end of the regular season. Mike Nolan, the new head coach. Where do they start building? Well, they have a dozen picks, including the first one overall. Well, is it Alex Smith? Well, is it Aaron Rodgers, quarterback? Well, do they trade? So a lot of this has changed. Are they negotiating with 3 at once? For the update, let's get an early morning West Coast scone, which we will do that in a moment. But Alex Smith, is he head and shoulders? Is this what they should do?
He's not head and shoulders, Boom, but I think what he is the top quarterback in this draft. You look at Alex Smith, I think separation from Aaron Rodgers, not that much. The 49ers need a quarterback. They define Alex Smith as their guy. You have to bring him into the fold. You look at Alex Smith, I've made this statement for the last couple of months. Smartest player, forget just quarterback, smartest player overall to go from college to the National Football League, graduated in 2 years. Remember, only 20 years of age, doesn't turn 21 until May 7th. Processes information quickly. That's why John Gruden was so high on Alex Smith throughout this process. You look at a guy who's accurate, does not make mistakes. 21 consecutive passes without interception this year, 108 consecutive passes without a pick in 2002. This is a kid who understands how to manage a game and not turn the football over.
Well, we shall see if it's Alex. Remember what happened last year at this time. So What is San Francisco thinking about at this moment? It's just past 9 o'clock out on the West Coast for an early morning scone and cappuccino. Let's go out to South Palo Antonio at, I believe I remember the address, 4949 Centennial Boulevard. Sal?
Good morning, Chris. This was the draft scene right now in the draft room of the 49ers a few minutes ago. Mike Nolan checking his watch, knows that he's on the clock, and he's got to make a pick, and they've got to make a decision. Now, here's what the latest from the 49ers draft room. They are deciding what to do with this pick. Do they trade it? They've fielded a number of calls from different teams. Teams are right now interested in moving up, and the Niners have fielded a bunch of calls, and they've said to themselves, none of these picks right now that they've been offered are good enough for them to move out of the number one spot. So, as expected, if they sit there, Alex Smith of Utah would be their pick. Then things get very interesting, Boomer. What do they do with Alex Smith if they take him? Do they trade him perhaps to Miami, Tampa Bay, or Cleveland? So it could be high drama right down to the finish, Boom.
All right, Sal, well, we'll obviously see. We went through this scenario last year when San Diego kept the pick, chose Eli Manning. We had that rare photo op with Eli with the Chargers jersey, and then, of course, within the hour, the trade was made, and Eli was on his way to the New York Giants, and Phillip Rivers was on the other way. So we heard Sal mention the teams more. What's happening right now?
Well, listen, you said Merry Christmas in the mail. Don't forget, on NFL Draft Day, it's also April Fool's Day. And Mike Nolan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, is simply playing the game. He doesn't have Alex Smith signed, so therefore, you go ahead and you use the time on the clock. You make sure nobody offers you a Herschel Walker type deal. But the bottom line, at some point, you have to tell your fans, this is our guy, and I really believe, in the end, it's going to be Alex Smith, and he, Mel, Boomer, is the right guy.
Well, but there is a big, right now, there are 6, 7 different opinions on who might be ranked number one. What do you have?
This year may be like, and you look about going back 25, 30 years, unlike any other in terms of fluid boards, nobody agreeing, no consensus, no defined, clear-cut number one. My guy, Mike Williams, did not even play football this year, sat out the year, but in 2002 and 2003, he dominated the Pac-10. His average per catch for his career, better than Braylon Edwards. You talk about speed, he's got enough. Ronnie Brown, you look at a complete football player. Didn't start, but he did in 2002 when Cadillac was hurt, and he put up big numbers. He can run, he can catch, and he can block. He can do it all. Braylon Edwards, we talked about. He's the consensus number one guy for people in the NFL and the media. Got size, competitive. What he has to do is eliminate those costly drops. Just go back to the Ohio State game for proof positive of that. You look at Cadillac Williams, you look at a guy who is a passionate football player, improved dramatically, junior to senior year as a pass receiver out of the backfield, excellent between the tackles. Cedric Benson, complete back, Ronnie Brown. Don't forget Cedric. This is a kid, red zone runner, initial defender, never brings him down. This is a kid whose body of work, total body of work in Texas, outstanding. I know about the comparisons of Ricky Williams. I think they're unfair. 6, Alex Smith. You know, got a quarterback, not number one on the board, but if the 49ers define him number one, he's my number one quarterback. He's smart, accurate, mobile, and only 20 years of age. Go to the number 7 overall, you go to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, a cow. Like I said, separation, I got 1-6 and 1-7. So if Aaron Rodgers drops, not because of ability, I know he's a little mechanical. Aaron debates that with me all the time, but he is a guy who does not let the ball at the ground much. He's accurate. He steps up hard in that pocket. He doesn't back off. He's tough. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot, and somebody's going to get themselves a heck of a steal if he falls down the board a bit.
You came out of the garage in 5th gear, you know that? You're unbelievable. It is Christmas. Let's kind of put a bow about what we're going to see here today. We are probably, if it is Alex Smith, going to have the 5th straight year in which a quarterback is going to be drafted number one. You talked about those running backs. You saw Mel identify several of them. We're going to have probably 3 go in the top 7 or 8. Remember, we haven't had a running back go in the top 10 since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2001, so that's a little different. There are a couple other wide receivers, 2 that Mel mentioned, and there are 3 bona fide top corners, not to mention Minnesota, playoff team, San Diego, playoff team, Dallas and Washington, hopeful playoff teams. Those 4 teams have 2 first-round picks. We'll open it up when we return to New York. The 2005 NFL Draft about to kick off.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Now back to New York, our new site of the draft, the Jacob Javits Center, but the site of the commissioner since 1989 to open the draft would be Paul Tagliabue. He has the honors once again to kick things off.
Good afternoon to football fans here and around the nation. Welcome to the Jacob Javits Convention Center in New York City and to the 2005 National Football League College Draft. The first selection in the 2005 NFL Draft belongs to the San Francisco 49ers, who are now on the clock.
Well, we're official. The 49ers are on the clock, which they essentially have been since the end of last season. They have not, since the common draft had the first pick overall. They have it, and such an integral part of our NFL coverage week in, week out, month in, month out is our Susie Colbert, who's with some of the top players in the nation. Sue's in the green room. Hi.
Hi, Chris, and thank you. Alex Smith has been on the NFL roller coaster ride. What was the first thought that went through your head when you woke up this morning?
I think just how fortunate I am. This has been a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid. Dream of everyone. And, to be able to be here and actually be a part of this is truly amazing. And, I've just been really blessed. So.
Between last night and this morning, what have you and your agent, Tom Condon, heard from the Niners?
It's tough. I actually spoke with Coach Nolan last night. We didn't specifically talk about anything, but it was a positive conversation, and I feel good about it. Obviously, I love the coaching staff of San Francisco, and it would be a great honor to be their selection, but who knows?
What did he say?
I just kind of checking on me, seeing how I was going, asking how I was doing and how this all was treating me. So,
how much control do you feel you have in all of this?
I feel like I don't. I mean, this isn't the recruiting process. They're making the decision. Obviously, I hope I've, shown what kind of person I am, what kind of quarterback I am, and what I'm going to do in the future. And hopefully they've seen that in me. So,
what are your feelings about trying to get a deal done, get signed?
Oh, absolutely. That is very important to me to get into camp. I think to get to work. As much fun as this draft stuff might seem, I'm ready to get to work. I'm ready to be part of a team, and really get some stuff done. So. And
what's going on inside your stomach right now?
I'm anxious. I'm really anxious and excited. I've been waiting for this day my whole life, dreaming about it, and it's here, and I'm just trying to take it in. So.
Enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much.
Chris.
Susie, Alex, thank you very much. And you can understand why a young man would say, well, I want to get to work. He finished college in, 2.5 years? He's not even 21 until May. He can't even rent a car in the state of Utah until he turns 21, and yet he could buy a couple cars if and when he gets signed. So you can understand why he would not want to sit out. But yet, now it's just interesting. I'm just going to go to our publication, our Bible all the time, the Mel Kiper Draft Report, coming out later and later every year, I might add. Thanks, Mel. You have a guy that didn't even play last year, number one. What gives?
You have a decision to make when you rate players, because you say, okay, who's the guy that's going to be number one on your board? And I looked at it and I said, okay, see some question marks with some of the guys below him, and you look at a guy like Mike Williams. Had he played this year, it would have been a spectacular season with Leinart and company, and I think he would have been the clear-cut number one. This is a kid who averaged more yards per catch, 14.7 to 14.1 over Braylon Edwards, had 95 receptions in 2003. The same year, Kerry Colbert had 69. Kerry Colbert was a second-round pick. Did a real good job in Carolina this past year. I really like Mike Williams. I think this is a kid who's going to be uncoverable because of the situation in the NFL with the rules, limit the physical ability of a quarterback to be physical. I look at Mike Williams as a guy who I think can come in without pressure, because he's going to go probably down the line just a bit. Certainly not going to be 1, 2, or 3 overall. And I think he's going to be a heck of a player, and he's going to be a steal. But on my board, and I'm one of the 32, on the 49ers board, the number one player should be Alex Smith.
Well, that's another story we follow. Mike Williams didn't play at all last year, and so therefore we know he's fresh. We know he's fresh. Doesn't take a lot of hits. But how fresh is he going to be? Well, the first pick is fresh. The 49ers. They're probably entertaining the phones out there in Santa Clara, California. But the Niners set to start their way back up. We'll be back. At the NFL Draft, he was a third-round pick in 79, and starting in 1981, forever changed the face of the San Francisco 49ers and, frankly, the face of the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Joe Montana. And the reins eventually went from Hall of Famer Joe Montana to this year's inductee, our own Steve Young.
For 2 decades, with and without helmets, the 49ers were either at the top or very near the top. But since 99 and on, 10-win seasons dwindled all the way down to 2-14 last year. Hence a change in the coaching ranks, and hence a change in what the 49ers, the model franchise for a long time, now they start to build from what seemingly is the beginning. Mike Nolan is the new head coach. He certainly has a resume in the National Football League that begins with his father, Dick Nolan, who was head coach of some very good 49er teams in the 70s with John Brody, Gene Washington, Dave Wilcox, etc. They were playoff teams. So Mike was around those guys as a young man. He also has been around some pretty darn good coaching under Dan Reeves with the Broncos and Giants, Skins, Jets, Ravens. He's more than earned his stripes for this opportunity.
That's right. And for a guy who's in his early 40s, Mike Nolan has been an NFL assistant for 17 years, and he's coached on the offensive side of the ball as well, even though most of it's been on defense. And I think when John York, the team president of the 49ers, basically cleaned house at the end of the season, he wanted a singular face and voice to lead them into a new era, a rebirth, so to speak. Mike Nolan has the power. He has the authority, much like Bill Belichick has it in New England, much like Andy Reid has it in Philadelphia. And he is a meticulous guy, a guy who is high on accountability. And I've already heard about a lot of changes already under Mike Nolan in that organization.
Well, he knows what he wants. He understands. And
he's making this pick.
They're onward and upward. By the way, the Niners have 12 picks. Now, the bad news is when you pick number 1, you had the worst season of anybody last year.
That's right.
The good news is you can talk to more than one player. Hey, can we sign you? So they've talked to Aaron Rodgers. They've talked to Braylon Edwards, in addition to Alex Smith. Who are some of these other guys that are going to go very quickly?
Well, Chris, you hope to be able to get a deal done by draft day if possible, but you can't let that dictate who you choose. If you don't work out a deal, so be it. You're drafting a player and you're looking at the future, not looking at this season. No rookie quarterback's going to come in here. The Ben Roethlisbergers and Dan Marinos are hard to find. Guys are going to do it that quickly. John Elway couldn't. He's the greatest player, I believe, ever to play the game of football. Braylon Edwards is certainly under consideration. You look at the 2nd pick overall, the 3rd pick overall. I wasn't as high on Braylon as some other people were. I think the drops were something that bothered me a bit. He is 6'3", 210, though, and I'll tell you what, he can go get the football in a crowd. He's a good football player. Aaron Rodgers, you talked about a guy a week and a half ago, looked like Aaron was going to be the guy. He said, we'll have him signed maybe by the middle of next week, everybody thought. Then the audibilization back to Alex Smith. Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. He's going to be a fine quarterback in the NFL. Forget franchise quarterbacks. The only franchise quarterback perceived coming out of college who lived up to it in the NFL was John Elway. Coming out, Troy Aikman was not considered franchise. Tony Mandarich, everybody thought should have gone number 1. That really some people did. And certainly when you look back at all the different quarterbacks along the way, there wasn't a consensus, even on Peyton Manning. People thought Ryan Leaf was the guy. So forget franchise. Aaron Rodgers will be solid. How far he drops is going to be the storyline of the day, but somebody's going to get themselves a fine, solid starting quarterback.
He didn't get worse this week, Okay? But that being said, look, the Niners have been January, February, March, April, and 5 minutes and 31 seconds they got left to make their pick. Let's quickly go back out to Niners headquarters, Sal Paolantonio. What do you hear under the door?
Boomer, for the last 24 hours, Mike Nolan has been fielding calls for lots of different teams. There have been 5 specific teams in the mix, just to get you caught up, fill in the blanks on the trade talks. The 2 teams that have been interested to go up and get Braylon Edwards, Minnesota Vikings and Washington Redskins. 3 teams interested in going up to number 1 to get Alex Smith would be the Miami Dolphins, Cleveland Browns, and Tampa Bay Bucks. So far, Nolan hasn't heard any kind of offer that he likes. They do have to restore the luster of this Tiffany franchise, as you said earlier, and the way to do that is to get multiple picks, but he hasn't heard an offer that he likes so far, and so they're sitting pretty right now and may take Alex Smith, Boomer.
All right, Sal, well, we'll see. The Niners have 4:40 to go very quickly. Let me ask Torrey Holt, you're too young. You don't remember when the Niners humbled the Rams 17 straight times. You came in 99. You always beat the 4, even though they were good then. You see them. They need help in a lot of places, don't they?
They do. I mean, I've heard all the horror stories of when they smacked our butts around in St. Louis and in L.A. But if I'm drafting right now, I'm taking a quarterback. You're talking about rebuilding a franchise, putting a new face on the franchise, and listening to, and hearing about Alex Smith. The guy has all the mechanics. The guy is a winner. He's a smart guy. He'll be tested quick to see how smart he is in the National Football League. But I will rebuild this franchise behind the quarterback, and Alex Smith, I think, right now is the top pick. And we're going to see, but Alex Smith is definitely should be the 49ers guy.
Well, if you're a receiver, you got to have a quarterback. But I get that.
And I say this, Boom, if they take a receiver, who's going to get him the ball? From my understanding, Retay's hurt.
I got it.
So I'm going to start right now with the quarterback, and then I'm going to build my players around the quarterback and go from there.
Well, we're getting close to the bewitching hour, if you will, the bewitching minute. Susie Colbert back at the green room with a guy who was, well, a little bit of the center of last year in this very spot, Suze.
You're right. Tom Condon is Eli Manning's agent as well, and Alex Smith. What are you hearing from the Niners?
Well, I haven't heard anything now, Susie, for a day and a half. So, but nevertheless, I think that Alex is in a great position. I think the 49ers are considering him seriously, and I would be very surprised unless there's a blockbuster trade that Alex doesn't go to the 49ers.
Well, what are you expecting beyond that? Could it be a similar situation? Pick a quarterback number one and then a trade?
I wouldn't expect so. I think the 49ers want to take what they consider to be the best player, and I think Alex fits that bid.
Naturally, comparisons are made, but what is the biggest difference between this situation and the one that went down last year?
Last year there was some difficulty with regard to the team, and this year Alex is he's happy. We've looked at all the top picks there, and if he's the San Francisco 49ers first pick, he'll be extraordinarily happy. And if not, then Miami and Cleveland and Tampa, all teams that look like they would maybe be in the market, are all very good options.
We're going to find out right now.
Yeah, good.
Chris.
All right, Susie, Tom Condon, a former very good lineman with the Kansas City Chiefs. But now, we'll see. The number one pick in the 2005 draft. The commissioner has the card.
With the first selection in the 2005 NFL draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Alex Smith, quarterback, Utah.
Cleveland.
Alex Smith, a young man who I think now you in high school and college, 45-5? Is this one loss record? That's a far cry to 2-14. You want a guy who's used to winning. You're trying to build winning. If indeed he stays right there and they get this done, and I think they will, not necessarily in the next 10 minutes, but I think they will. This will start the new feel for the foot. They picked a guy, they signed him. We're going to do things right. This will be a heck of a chance to make a statement. Big and little picture, I think.
Well, you can talk about a winning quarterback, Chris. You mentioned high school, 25-1 over that 2-year period. You talk about a guy at Utah, what he did, leading them to an undefeated season. I think Steve Savoy and Paris Warren heavily involved. One thing about, you look at a guy like Alex Smith in that shotgun for Urban Meyer, former head coach at Utah. Urban Meyer now with the Florida Gators. That's something adapting to being under center that he's going to have to work on in the National Football League more.
You know, when I've spoken with Mike Nolan, the 49ers coach, he has been implicit that this pick, the top pick of the draft, and the quarterback will be the face of the franchise, probably even beyond how long Mike Nolan coaches. He could be the face of the franchise for 10 to 15 years, and that's a big factor.
And look at the size, and I think that's something where he's filling out that 6'4.5" frame. And you look at a guy who's 217 pounds now, be 225 probably a year and a half from now. Look at the record. Look at what he's been able to do throughout his career, high school, college. He wins football games. He's the kind of kid only 20 years of age, mature beyond his years. As I said, and this cannot be understated, smartest player ever to go from college to pro. Processes information so quickly. An offensive coordinator's dream, because he's an extension of the coordinator, of the head coach. No mistakes are going to be made in translation with Alex Smith. Accuracy, poise. You look at the ability in terms of, hey, things break down. He has mobility. Now, he's not going to be Michael Vick, but he did rush for almost 600 yards in that Utah offense and spread the field so successfully. And as I said, you're going to see both the wide receivers at Utah, Steve Savoy and Paris Warren, probably be selected in this process. So you got a lot of guys involved in that offense. It was a complex scheme. And you look at Alex Smith. He may not have been number one on my board, but for the 49ers as an organization, I thought he was the best quarterback in this draft, slightly over Aaron Rodgers, and that's the direction, knowing the quarterback need the way it was, that they had to go.
Well, and now the pattern continues. 5 straight years, as we talked about, with the quarterback number one, Alex joining Eli Manning last year, Carson Palmer the year before, David Carr the year before that, Michael Vick the year before that, and 2 years before that, Tim Couch. The year before that, Peyton Manning. So it wasn't always this way. The quarterbacks went one all the time, but 7 of 8 have the last 8 number 1 picks have been quarterbacks. So, a relieved Alex Smith, relieved very early with our Susie again.
Well, 2.5 years ago, Alex Smith was a third-string quarterback. What did it take to get here?
You know, I'd be lying if I said I got here by myself. There's been a lot of great people around me, my family, my teammates, my coaches, and friends. And I worked really hard for this. I truly believe that I came a long way, and I'm just so thankful to be here, and I'm ready to work. So.
But everybody keeps talking about how smart. Well, you came to college with so many credits that you graduated in 2 years. But how does that translate into being a great quarterback and now NFL quarterback?
I think just the habits help. You know, my preparation, the time I put in the film room, the time I put in on the practice field, understanding defenses, understanding schemes, and I truly think that's going to help me at the next level, absolutely.
What do you expect the journey is like from here?
Oh, pretty crazy for the next few days, but I'm so excited to be part of this organization. Ready to get to work. I truly believe they're heading in the right direction, and it's great to be part of this. So,
congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Chris?
Susie, Alex, congratulations. 1979, the Niners had the number 1 pick if they had traded it away to Buffalo, who ended up choosing Tom Cousino. So, 1954, Dave Parks, number 1 overall pick, San Francisco. 2005, Alex Smith, number 1 overall pick, San Francisco. Head coach, Alex.
Thanks a lot, Boomer. Mike Nolan, you made that first pick. It was right down to the wire. As you